Good afternoon. It is Sunday, March 19th, 2023, and a quick little book review on this book by Sinclair Lewis called Main Street. Now, this book was published in 1920, so it's an American classic. Why I recommend this read to people today, because it's a story about us. Also, it's a great historical perspective of that sweet time in American history before World War I to right after World War I. And it was an era of great changes in America, politics, philosophies, and America was still a young country. It takes place in the Midwest, Minnesota, to be honest, where the character begins with a gal named Carol, college grad. Back in those days, girls didn't have a lot of options. Teacher, mom, maybe a nurse. There just weren't a lot of options for a woman. This is before women had the right to vote. So in the story, Main Street is about an idealistic young woman who meets her doctor, her knight in shining armor, and moved from St. Paul, Minnesota, Twin Cities, to a little place out in the prairie called Gopher Prairie. Gopher Prairie in Minnesota. You know, when you think about this for today, the thing to remember is that this takes place approximately 50 so years after Little House on the Prairie, when they were settling the prairie. So approximately 50 years later, what America's like. And it's about Main Street. It's about a small town, and it's about all towns, big or small. The people, the good things, the bad things, the mean, bitchy things, the little miracles, different kinds of people. And you'll notice that people back then, they may have been freer in some ways, in other ways they weren't. It truly was it's still a nation of have and have-nots, but the middle class was thriving. And before World War I, America was a very different place. And it goes through that arc of her life, being a college gal, to getting married for maybe the wrong reasons or the right reasons, and how she's going to change the world, and she encounters a lot of barriers in this. And while it is a long read, it's a long read. It's a really long read. But it's writing of the day. Now, other people, I read a little bit about it. Other people have mentioned that this was a truly first American novel about Americans. People think, oh, that's narcissistic. No, it's a study of us, who we are. Sinclair Lewis would go on to win the Nobel Peace Prize for literature, first American. This, Bobbitt, Arrowhead, and many other great works. His writing went from the first part of the century all the way to the 50s when he died in Rome, like a lot of the expatriates they settled in Europe after the wars. So, people like, what's a homesteader got to do with this, or a prepper? But just read it. How people treat each other. Have we changed? Have we become more sophisticated? Have we? You be the judge. Take the chance, read it. If you're going to be a real prepper and homesteader, you have to live without TV and internet at some time. So, or anybody. I recommend this video to anybody. Any book to anybody. Anyway, so it's March. We just came out of a snowstorm. It's melting already. Last night it was 15 degrees, and now it's almost 40. This is Big Dan. Please read a book. Please support your local library, and make sure the library is not burning books. You'll be surprised on how empty our libraries are today. Sinclair Lewis, Main Street. It's a great book to read. It helped him win the Nobel Peace Prize. Thank you for listening.